He's racked up frequent flyer miles, jetted off to faraway places.
Mr. England is a man of resources.
But 60-year-old Mark England has carried some legal baggage on his journey.
Mr. England has fled from justice on a number of occasions and has been located in Canada, New Zealand, as well as Switzerland.
His troublesome travels began while he was divorced with joint custody of his son. England was supposed to take his child to Colorado, but instead crossed the border to Canada. He was arrested and returned to Milwaukee, where a jury convicted him of interference with custody. Marshals say it's a verdict that would turn into a voicemail vendetta.
This is Mark England speaking.
Years after the decision, England demanded a Milwaukee County judge review information he called hidden for years.
That evidence has to make its way to you, and then I expect you to act. If you do not act, this is going to spill over into personal areas, and that includes your family. What I want you to do is commiserate with the district attorney and fix this case. And if you do not, I will harm you.
He appears to be obsessed with the fact that several people conspired against him to prevent him from receiving justice.
Kevin Carr, U.S. Marshal for the Eastern District of Wisconsin, says England also launched a smear campaign against his own attorney and continues to lob threats from Switzerland, where it's very unlikely he'll be surrendered to U.S. law enforcement.
He has been in constant contact, threatening a number of these victims by telephone.
Some call the 60-year-old globetrotter resourceful, brilliant, and rich. Marshals say a millionaire with enough cash back up his calls. By train or plane. Marshals want England's passport on pause.
We will bring him to justice.
A crime scene in Racine.
He killed one.
A murder preceded by mayhem.
He tried to kill another one that night.
July 10th, a shooting inside the warning track came without warning.
It was multiple shots.
And they just shot him 5 times.
Clearly, he wanted to kill him.
Law enforcement says 25-year-old Luis Hinojosa fired the gun, but what triggered the violence isn't entirely clear.
Seemingly unprovoked, Hinojosa pulls out a weapon.
FBI Special Agent in charge, Nancy McNamara, says it happened around closing time and around several people.
He's a monster, a murderer.
When the violence ended, so did the life of 19-year-old Giovanni Tirado. And on the way out, law enforcement describes Hinojosa pistol whipping Tirado's brother Greg, who says the only reason he's still alive is because the killer ran out of bullets.
If I would have lost both of them, I don't know where I would be.
Tirado's mother, Lana, says her family is trying to move on without her son, but never strays far from his memory.
I always think about him. All of us do.
As for the man accused of murdering him, he's managed to avoid police.
There's a good chance that he has fled to Texas or to Mexico.
Law enforcement says there's at least one thing Hinojosa can't run from: his own image.
On his left arm has a tattoo of himself as a clown. It is the kind of tattoo that if you see it, you will remember it.
A marked man.
This is someone who we don't want out on the streets.
A fugitive leading law enforcement on a chase and leaving a family in mourning.
I just hate him, and I can't wait till he gets caught.
Things were really out of hand.
Conflict intersected with chaos. The corner of 12th near Atkinson.
The next thing I know, I'm shot.
By the time investigators were on the scene March 19th,
I just lost all air.
a Milwaukee man was fighting for his life. The man accused of pulling the trigger, 20-year-old Devon Adams, was gone.
Everything went black to me.
When Darrell Wynn woke up,
I was shot once in the chest.
he was in the hospital. His scars from surgery and the bullet remain.
They told me it was seconds. I was minutes away from death.
We're real lucky that we're not talking about a homicide here.
James Thomas, investigator for the Milwaukee County District Attorney's Office, tells us it all started.
Because of a purse.
Wynn is still coming to grips
I didn't even know that the purse existed at first.
with the handbag, triggering the shooting. He says his cousin left her purse at a home in this neighborhood. A group, including Adams, went looking for it.
They brought this guy along with them as a reinforcer.
And that's when things went downhill real fast.
Thomas says fists started to fly when the purse wasn't found.
Next thing I know, this guy pulls a gun out like 3 or 4 times. He's waving the gun around.
It's not clear if the purse was ever found. What is clear, U.S. Marshals are intent on finding Adams.
You know, the sooner we can get him off the streets, the better.
An alleged gunman leaving his mark on a victim. Violence carried out because of a carryall.
I can't wait till they catch him.
Most albums spin at 33 or 44 revolutions per minute.
His record has been all over the place.
But law enforcement says one Milwaukee man's circled his way around the justice system.
He's a danger to the community.
43-year-old Richard Bostick's criminal record sounds like a variety LP.
Bostick has been convicted of everything from narcotics to burglary, robbery, theft.
But most concerning for Deputy U.S. Marshal Gary Enos is a crime Bostick committed against a teen.
Second-degree sexual assault of a child is a child between the ages of 13 and 16. Absolutely, he is a predator.
U.S. Marshals, open the door now!
During a sex offender sweep a few months ago, law enforcement discovered he wasn't living at the Northside home he's registered at. Meaning more than a scratch on his record, it's a violation of his parole.
He's clearly running for some reason. He has this open warrant, and he's going to continue to run.
Marshals say Bostick's tried to fool the system by collecting his mail, then signing and sending registry information back to the state, all while living somewhere he shouldn't be.
He's most likely still on the north side. He's been seen riding a bicycle to and from family and friends' houses.
Now marshals are hoping with your help, you'll face the music.
And there's a reason we show you these pictures. It's because your tips often help, and they helped authorities catch 43-year-old Richard Bostick late Monday night.
He's made some substantial mistakes in his life so far.
In the game of life,
he's not checking in with his probation officer.
One 20-year-old isn't playing by the rules.
Mr. Jerski has kind of gotten down the wrong path in life.
A wrong way route.
A burglary.
Down a bad boulevard.
Shoplifting, retail theft. His criminal career started when he was about 16 years old.
Detective Phil Carini of the U.S. Marshals Task Force says about 4 years ago, Robert Jerski committed a second-degree sexual assault.
Got himself involved in a consensual sexual relation with an underage female.
This year, when a lewd act was committed in Brookfield, Carini says Jerski remains a suspect.
He allegedly has exposed himself to some other minors. He's definitely showed a pattern that, you know, would give law enforcement an alert.
Now this 20-year-old.
He has some eyeliner around his eye.
Described as living the goth or emo lifestyle.
A double piercing in his lip.
He is living life on the run and wanted
for failure to register as a sex offender.
Marshals say Jerski may be moving from house to house or place to place to avoid detection, but he has some noticeable tattoos, including one on his left forearm, reading,
female's name of Jessie, Jessie.
He's also branded on his upper right arm.
It's VII, or Roman numeral for the number 7.
Whatever the path,
we think, you know, he's hiding somewhere.
Marshals know Jerski will eventually come across law enforcement, adding there's a way to make life much easier.
The best thing that he could do is turn himself in.
And another of Wisconsin's most wanted is also behind bars thanks to your help. Last Saturday, we told you about 20-year-old Robert Jerski. He was wanted by U.S. Marshals for failure to register as a sex offender. Law enforcement was able to track him down in Greenfield Wednesday. He was arrested without incident thanks to several tips from Fox 6 viewers.
There are a number of narratives linked to Halloween.
The blood trail was pretty extensive.
But in the genre of horror,
it's not like a shooting.
You can add one more tragic tale.
It was multiple stab wounds.
To the date, October 31st.
He was at 1222 West National Avenue.
33-year-old Uriel Poochyena Crispin lived in this South Side neighborhood back in 2010.
In apartment 6.
But it's what happened behind this door that has law enforcement looking for him.
In my opinion, he's a very violent and desperate man.
Detective Kent Corbett of the Milwaukee Police Department says Poochyena Crispin met up with a woman. The criminal complaint details a money for sex encounter with more than a sentence of strife.
Got involved in an altercation, a verbal altercation with her. During that altercation, ended up manually strangling her and killing her.
Court documents show the 33-year-old later admitted to his roommate, quote, "I killed her. I killed her."
The emotions were running high with him.
Those frenzied feelings would be tested by a visitor who walked into apartment number 6. He was looking for the victim and became one himself.
And then Crispin proceeded to stab him in an attempt to kill him.
Court documents say the second victim was caught about 5 times with an 8 to 10-inch knife. He would survive, but Corbett says his killer fled.
He knows he did this, and he can't be on the run for the rest of his life.
With your help, law enforcement can write the final chapter in their search for Poochyena Crispin.
Here's where the editing comes in.
The last line in a terrible alleged crime, a horror on Halloween.